I am about to show you something that most people will never hear inside a doctor's office. Not because it is hidden, not because it is controversial, but because the system was never designed to explain it this way. If you have been managing blood pressure for years, taking your medication, cutting back on salt, doing everything you were told, and your numbers are still not where they should be, then what you are about to hear is going to feel uncomfortably accurate, because the problem was never that you were doing it wrong. The problem is that you were never given the full picture. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Mr. Barry. Mr. Barry was 74 years old. He had been on blood pressure medication for over a decade. He was disciplined. He attended every appointment. He took every dose at the same time every morning. He removed salt from his diet so completely that his wife told me he had not touched a salt shaker in 4 years. His systolic pressure stayed between 158 and 166. Month after month, year after year. His cardiologist reviewed his case multiple times. Each time, the same conclusion: increase the dose or add another drug. So one day, he asked a question that changes everything when it is taken seriously. I am doing everything right. Why is it not working? And the answer is not what most people expect, because blood pressure is not just a number. It is the result of a continuous biological negotiation happening inside your arteries every second of your life. On one side of that negotiation are forces pushing pressure up: inflammation, arterial stiffness, sympathetic nervous system activation. On the other side are forces bringing it down: relaxation signals, vascular flexibility, and a molecule called nitric oxide, which tells your arteries to open. Now here is where this becomes important. Most medications target one pathway, but research shows blood pressure is influenced by multiple systems at once, not just one. So if several mechanisms are active and only one is treated, the others continue, quietly, pulling the number back up. That is exactly what was happening in Mr. Barry's body. We spent time not adjusting his medication, but understanding the biology. And once that changed, everything changed. There is a form of exercise that most people have never been told about, that has been studied in controlled trials and shown measurable reductions in blood pressure. Not running, not walking, squeezing. Holding a grip at a steady pressure for a short period creates a temporary restriction of blood flow. And when that grip is released, blood rushes back, creating mechanical stress inside the artery wall. That stress signals the release of nitric oxide, and nitric oxide relaxes the artery. Simple, direct, documented. Mr. Barry tried it. 4 weeks later, his systolic pressure dropped. Not dramatically, but measurably. And that is where the shift begins. Because once you see a response, you stop guessing and start understanding. There is also something else that has been studied extensively and rarely explained properly. A plant that most people walk past in the grocery store: hibiscus. In a randomized controlled trial, daily hibiscus tea reduced systolic blood pressure by over 7 millimeters Hg compared to placebo. In some comparisons, it performs similarly to common ACE inhibitor medications. That is not alternative theory. That is published clinical research. Mr. Barry added it, not as a replacement, but as an addition. And again, the system began to respond. Now here is something almost no one is told. Your skin stores nitric oxide, and when exposed to UVA light, that stored compound is activated and released directly into your bloodstream. Blood pressure drops within minutes. This mechanism has been observed in cardiovascular research, studying sunlight exposure and vascular function. And yet, many people have been taught to avoid sunlight completely. Mr. Barry had done exactly that for years. He began spending just 20 minutes in midday light. No supplements, no prescription, just biology being allowed to function again. Then we address something deeper. Inside your artery walls, there are cellular pumps that move sodium and potassium in opposite directions. When potassium is low, those pumps fail. Sodium builds up, water follows, the vessel wall thickens, and pressure rises. This is why reducing salt alone often does not solve the problem, because the issue is not just intake, it is cellular balance. Mr. Barry had removed sodium, but had never increased potassium. Once he did, his system shifted again. Now this next part is one of the most overlooked and one of the most important. Uric acid. Most people associate it with gout, but research shows elevated uric acid interferes with nitric oxide production and contributes to vascular dysfunction. In simple terms, it blocks one of the body's most important pressure-lowering systems. Mr. Barry had never been tested. When we checked, his levels were elevated. Once addressed, something changed that he could feel. Not suddenly, but steadily, like pressure being released from the inside. Then we moved to the nervous system, because blood pressure is not just chemistry, it is also electrical. Inside your neck are sensors that constantly monitor pressure and send signals to your brain. But under chronic stress, those signals are overridden. Breathing at exactly 6 breaths per minute has been shown to reset this system by activating the parasympathetic nervous system and reducing sympathetic drive. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Within minutes, pressure drops. Mr. Barry saw it happen in real time. We address the final piece, your mouth. The bacteria on your tongue convert dietary nitrates into nitric oxide. Foods like arugula contain some of the highest nitrate levels of any vegetable. But here is what most people get wrong. If you do not chew it properly, the process does not happen. And if you use antibacterial mouthwash, you eliminate the very bacteria that make the system work. Mr. Barry changed both, and that completed the system. 3 months later, his systolic pressure was 138, not once, consistently. After years of being stuck, his cardiologist looked at him and asked one question: what changed? And the answer was not one thing. It was understanding, not replacing medicine, but completing the picture that medicine alone was never designed to cover. If you have been managing blood pressure for years and your numbers are still not where they should be, this is the conversation you need to have next. Not instead of your treatment, but alongside it. Ask your doctor, what are we not addressing? And ask one more thing, can we check my uric acid? Because that question changes everything. If this made sense to you, subscribe. And if this story sounds familiar, leave a comment. Tell me how long and what your numbers look like today. I read every single one.